sure. Right.
You've been roped into doing the in-laws garden as well now, because that's not your house, is it?
No, I'm just building a bed frame for Brianna.
I thought as much.
Look, all the
Right.
tools, all the van.
It's, to be fair, it's a nice day for building bed frames.
Yeah,
Right,
if you're outside.
Yeah, sun's out.
I think we're live. And it started with the sun's live, so that's a really, really nice start. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in so far. We're back with how to survive as a DJ in lockdown and beyond. And there's 5 people on here and 4 definitely surviving DJs so far. So that's 100% proof that it works. Thank you for locking in.
We are all alive.
They're all alive. So, you know, it's already off to a good start. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Richie, for joining me. We're going to have a good panel here. We're raising money today for BLMUK, help musicians, women in music, and Mind. The link is in the description. So if you can, go and donate. We're over £100 now, so we're doing well so far. Hopefully we'll continue to make some good money for these charities that are supporting our industry. So thank you and welcome. I guess if we start with just going through telling me who you are and letting people know what you're involved in. Jay, do you want to go first?
Yeah. Hi.
Nominated.
I'm a DJ in lockdown. Is that's the talk, right? Oh yeah, I've been playing for like, I don't know, 5-6 years. Based in London. Been kind of just jumping on the live streaming bandwagon a little bit. My ideal club is like some sweaty basement. Play lots of like kind of bass music mixed with breakbeat and house, bit of techno. So yeah, I've just been playing it to myself in my headphones really for now. But that is the dream, to play that all the time to everyone.
Awesome. How about yourself, Holly?
Yeah, so I'm Hollie Prophet. I am from North Wales. I am a disco house DJ, so kind of a mixture in between. The way I describe it to people is you've got your disco rhythms, but over your house beats, so you dance to the house, but you've got your funky guitars. I'm a resident for Cirque du Soleil, Triple Cooked, become a resident for Rise Festival, which is a festival out in the Alps. And I've got my own brand. Cool. Yeah, it's amazing. Honestly, party on the side of a mountain is something I've never done before, and it was just the best thing ever. Got my own brand, which we were meant to have like a 14-date tour before all that got cancelled and going out to the Alps and that. So, but it's just a pause, isn't it? So yeah. That's pretty much me. I've been DJing for about 6 years now, for the last year and a half professionally. Hopefully keep going. That's the dream, isn't it? Getting people to come see the music you play and living off it.
Brilliant. Yeah. What about yourself, Jack and Richie? Do you want to tell people about yourselves?
Jack,
do you want to go first? You go first.
Talking. You like talking. Go on.
Go on, pencil head. Right. Okay. So yeah, I'm Jack Squaffer. I'm one half of JSRP. Co-founder of Rich Got Jacked, which is a nice little budding record label at the moment. Been DJing for about 14 years, producing for about 7 of those years, maybe a bit longer now actually. And yeah, ideal music style, genre, if you want to put a label on it, sort of deep, minimal, bouncy house music. Anything that just sounds pretty fucking good, to be honest. But yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not allowed to do that, sorry. It's for charity, isn't it? I can't do that. And yeah, that's me really. Over to you, Ricardo.
So all of what Jack did, we sort of started the brand probably about 2-3 years ago. Yeah, I'm 29 now. I've been DJing since I was about 11. there or thereabouts. So that, I don't know how many years that is. That's a lot of years. I say DJing, but I started in the bedroom, sort of just messing around with the vinyls. I went through a stage in Birmingham through like a garage and grime scene. Sort of grew out of that in my early 20s. Always loved electronic music. Went and done a few seasons in Ibiza. Met Swaff. And the rest is history. And we are here today now.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Got a couple of great partiers as well. I would consider you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would be a way to describe it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, everyone. It's hopefully we can put a positive spin on what has been a hiatus on nightlife and show that you can succeed as a DJ right now, and we're going to see some great things afterwards as well. Yeah, Hollie, I think let's just start with it. Get it out of the way because it's mentioned, and then we can move on to all the positive stuff.
Cheers. Give me the
I mean, you brought it up, so I think now it's like we should speak about it. But yeah, you've had some brilliant, amazing festival gigs over the past couple of years, and I know you're scheduled for some quite a few wicked gigs coming up, like everyone on the panel. How do you think it sort of affected you, and what do you think you miss most about just playing out?
Well, like I said before, when I was meant to go to the Alps on a 3-week tour, I think we had 14 dates, but in that 3-week was flying back to the UK twice. So that was like my first experience of being an international touring DJ. Like I've been out to play in the Alps a few times, but this was like 3-week schedule here, there, back. I think there was maybe 2 nights where I actually got to sleep without being on a plane and moving somewhere else. So I was like really excited to get into that. We found out we were meant to go on the Monday. We found out on the Friday that it was all cancelled. So
it was that close. Oh wow.
Yeah, that was quite difficult because it was like I was so excited. Like that was like, this is it. This is it's like almost like a career highlight. Like forget the festivals and the events, but to be like internationally back and forth everywhere, all scheduled, that was like a big thing in my career. And to have that taken away, it was quite hard. And I found myself for about the first month of lockdown, like quite not depressed, but I kept reflecting, I should be here right now. I should play in here right now. So that was quite difficult to adjust, like, I should have been playing to 2,000 people at the top of a mountain in the Alps, but instead I'm sat in bed watching Netflix. It was like, it was trying to adjust your brain, which I found that was quite hard. But the thing I think I miss most is like being in North Wales, there's not many other DJs. So when I was feeling like, obviously mental health has been such a big thing for DJs in lockdown. When I was feeling sad or, wanting a friend, all my friends live in Leeds, Bristol, London. Nobody lives around me, so I couldn't go for a cycle. It's hard to just pick up the phone. So I think one of the things I miss most is being on the road and traveling and being in a new place every few days and seeing all my different DJs, in the booth, having a drink before. So I think that's one of the things, is that it's the social side around it. It's almost as big as the playing part, Like I'm not having an adrenaline rush in a lockdown compared to what you do when you're playing. So it's just, I think that's probably the things that have affected myself the most.
Yeah, totally understand. It was such a hard situation to be in, and then
that's the thing. Like
it's not just missing the gig.
Prepared you for it or adjusted your brain for what was going to happen. Like I think so far I've had about 40 or so cancelled, and that's just in 6 months. I had 14 in 3 weeks, and it's just that's my life. It's my job. It's my it's my hobby. It's everything about my life is DJing and being around across the UK, seeing different people, and to have like everything taken away, it was just quite difficult to adjust to. But I found that the more I dwelled on it, the more upset I got, and the more I didn't think about it and thought, it's happened now, just got to get on with it. I then adjusted my brain to thinking it's just a pause. Say you're watching a film and you need to go to the toilet, you just put a pause on it. So
Yeah.
although our careers have just started and they're going up and we're all having a good time, it's not the end of them. It's just a small pause, and next year will be even better.
That's a great takeaway from it, really, isn't it? It's a good way to look at it, and a way to adjust to that situation. I guess, like, Jack and Richie, you physically live away from each other. How have you been able to sort of like overcome this? I guess you're quite gigs cancelled as well yourselves.
Yeah, we've had quite a few gigs cancelled. I mean, me and Swaff normally get together every other week anyway. So I think for me, it hasn't really been an issue, but I think more for Swaff, because he's originally from Reading anyway. He's and he lives in Liverpool now. He's so far away from everybody, and because he hasn't really been able to see anyone now for at least 4 months, where I've still got my circle of friends. I think it's been a lot harder on Swaff, if I'm honest. But other than that, we've been bouncing off each other on the phone, and we've just started the record label. And I mean, me and Swaff are not, if I'm being real about it, we're not living off music yet, and we're not making a lot of money, which like every other DJ, so it's not like it hasn't affected us like entirely where financially, because we still got jobs, so we still got to do what we've got to do, if that makes sense. It's just sort of affected us in a way of sort of growing, but we've been able to sort of reset, sit back and push things in other directions with the label, with clothing, with parties, with just everything. It just gives you a bit of time to sit back and sort of recoup and sort of go again, because when you're in normal life, fast life, it's just hectic every day, 9 to 5, and you barely got time to think, and sometimes you just forget. And it's like, this is giving you the time now to sit back and think what's really important, and what we need to do and what we actually want to achieve.
Totally appreciate it.
Someone told me that it's the next time that we'll have this break in our careers is when we retire, and I thought that's very true. The next time that we're going to be sat here, having this time off, is when we're going to stop. So
it's true.
Take it as a little holiday.
All I can say is I've been working, for me personally, I've had to not just on the music front, but like I said, we got to remember, me and Rich as well, is with what we do with Rich Got Jack, we've always got something going on with it. So it's not just a record label. We've got a clothing company sat behind it. We've gone into audio hire. We've got parties. Obviously the whole live stream show thing's another thing that we've been looking at. And with me and Rich, we're constantly investing, not just money, but in time. Our time into multiple avenues, because obviously what we've always set out to do with our Rich Got Jack stuff, not just as us as artists, but with our Rich Got Jack stuff, is to make it a multi-brand, and for us it's been, like Rich said, we both work. I've got my own business in a lighting manufacturing company, and obviously that's hit home pretty hard with the loss of sales and revenue and all that kind of stuff. But more to the point is, it's actually, I've been sitting down and actually working much harder than I probably would have done beforehand, I guess, because like Richie said, we've had a lot of time to sit back and think what's important, and right, okay, we need to channel more energy into this or that or something else, and obviously it's also been a good time to make music too, because although we make music, it's nice to be able to just sometimes take that little bit more time and look back and think, oh, do you know what, I could have done this different, or oh yeah, I could have done that different.
You ain't got the added pressure of
no, you haven't.
When life's 100 miles an hour and people are releasing and stuff like that, you've sort of got a type of pressure on you where you think like, because there's a lot of people doing what we do, and to stay current, you have to be consistent. And sometimes you think to yourself like, oh, we need to make music and we need to release to sort of stay consistent, because people you come and go in this industry, and it's hard to very few artists actually stay around and actually, become like a solid feature in the industry, because people just come and go all the time. So the fact that people aren't releasing and people aren't playing gigs is sort of, it's took the stress off actually making and forcing music, where now you can just sit back and just like Swaff said, just channel your sound a bit more. And then, when everything kicks back off, you've got that direction where you can, you can push down.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of like trying to keep some sort of consistency, Jay, you have your regular show on Soho Radio, you have your guest spots, you've just set up the label. Has this kind of improved your experience of lockdown as such, having that sort of consistency?
Yeah, because I mean, I love radio. I was in radio before I was in DJing, really, and it was it's the one thing that's been solid and kept me going. And because I do so many interviews, it's, even though you can't meet the people, you still connect, and you have this like kind of overarching woe of lockdown to discuss. And it's actually, it's been a real nice thing to have regular radio shows, and it's a bit weird doing them literally from my bedroom, but it's it's an excuse to turn the music up and have your own little little party once a week. And obviously,
you get to wear your comfy clothes.
Yeah. I've been doing radio shows in my pajamas is great. I might just continue after. And the label, so we started a label. You spoke to Chris earlier in this conference, but we started it at the end of last year and launched it officially kind of just as we went into lockdown, and that's actually been great to have all this extra time to really fine tune it and have the creative space, the mental space. I think, like the guys were saying, that you just go. This thing. If you're not doing something, it's like, oh, I better go to that event and just meet the people that are running it. Or, there's always something you can be doing. And it's, for me personally, this has forced me to sit down and be like, what is it that you really, really, really want to be working on and do? And it is so solidly music, radio, the label. It's it's been quite good. It's been very affirming.
Yeah.
If depressing.
Kind of everyone seems to have it's nice to see on this label. Everyone's got something else, and they're taking focus, and they're kind of in a real good moment of reflection to what they really want to put their effort into, and it's probably that you put in that hard work in shows that how much you're enjoying it. Hollie, you've recently set up something new to try and kind of adjust to what's going on. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your tuition and training schemes?
Yeah, so I thought the main thing where it came from was I lost a lot of money in this lockdown period, with 40 gigs cancelled and 4 of my own events. There was upwards of about 20 grand I lost, and I haven't been furloughed, and I didn't get the grant. So £50 a week off the government, I tell you, it doesn't get you very far. So I'd saved up quite a bit of money for starting a clothing business, and all that went, savings went into just living. So in this space, this time, I've had a lot of time to think about what do I want to do. It's made me think DJing is my life. It's what I want to do for the rest of my life. But I've got lots of other passions, and I started doing. People are like, "Oh, Hollie, can you teach me how to DJ? Can you teach me, how did you get so far in the industry, in green rooms and that?" And I'm like, guys, I'm on in 10 minutes. I've not got time to give you everything. So people have always been like, can you just give me some tips? Can you teach me how to do it? So I thought, well, now's the time to give people some of my time. And if I can just help one person and get them one gig or give them one piece of advice, then me in that position, I would always ask people, have you got any advice for a up and coming DJ? And I just think that when you give back to people, then you'll get more in return. So I set up my DJ tuition. It's up in my attic, converted the attic.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, so my mum's got a shed in the garden, my dad's got the garage, so I was like, there's no rooms left in the house. And went up into the attic, so I've got a nice setup up there, got, you know, the LED lights, so they flash to the music, probably the closest I'll get to a club. And also been doing it online. I've got 3 students over in South Africa that
cool.
they just found me on Instagram, and I put it on saying I'm starting it. They were like, oh, we want it. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, you know, and just been giving them tips and tricks to do it over there. And it's just amazing that I would never have met these guys before, you know, and now I'm giving them tips on how to get gigs. And then I hopefully by the summer we'll be going over there and doing like a little tour, meeting them, all that sort of stuff. So it's just given me, although the financial thing hit hard and there'd be days where I'd wake up crying my eyes out, like, what do I do? I'm so lost. And then I've just realized that if I give back, you know, now's the time to give back. You can help anybody. And then also my clothing business, because obviously the shirts and the jackets and all that, people are always like, Hollie, where'd you get them from? And I'm like, well, I'll be giving it away. So now, you know, DJ, one of the things DJ wears, vintage clothing. I was going to start a clothing business, but it was all based on like disco stuff, like people holding disco balls, all that graphics. But that would have been promoted with DJs wearing it, because there's no DJs to be wearing it. I thought I'll put that on the back burner for a year and go into the vintage clothing. So although lockdown has been hard, and obviously it's hurt all of our careers, it's given me time to concentrate on other stuff, and that will always link in with what I want to do in the future. So it kind of worked out well for everything, and it'd be awesome. I'm sure you guys get it, seeing people in your clothes in the crowd. That's something I want, you know, just to be walking down the street, someone wearing one of my tops. It's just the little things, and it's made me just see life differently. And I'm glad in some way I'm glad it happened. Obviously not glad about the money, but for the next few years to come, everything's going to grow all together. So it's really cool to be just starting the journey now.
Brilliant. It's so cool you've carved out a space there that works for you, where you can give something back as well. Really cool. I know you touched on when things go back. I know Jack and Richie and Jay, you've kind of started to occupy a space that plays outside. What are your aims sort of with that, Jack and Rich? I know we had a bit of a conversation about you've been doing some like pretty unique live streams. Are you looking to turn that into like sort of an outside space for a gig at the moment, or are you just sort of watching what happens with like lockdown restrictions?
Well, I think at the moment, like we're with that. I mean, I'll be honest with you. We've there's other little spaces and things that we've been looking at, but I mean, something we're actually have been talking about, and I've believe it or not, we had a meeting yesterday with a group of lads, because whether we like it or not, there are a lot of venues that are going to close after this, especially by the end of the year. That will be apparent. Whether they get, obviously some people come and rebuy them, or they get bought out or whatever, but the harsh reality is that is going to happen. But been looking at some really cool little outdoor spaces at the moment. I mean, at the moment, there's as you've probably all seen, there's a few parties starting to kick off whereby it's table only, and you have to sort of sit in your groups or stay with your groups. But what I want to do is, I mean, fingers crossed, if you know, and we've spoken about this, if the sort of ban gets lifted slightly, where venues are either allowed to do more outdoor sort of events, where you know you don't necessarily have to be put in sort of seated pods and areas, then we wanted to look at doing events that are still live streamed but with a crowd, where you've still got like a sort of boiler room kind of feel to it, but it's invite only. That's the key fact. It's invite only. If you don't have an invite, you know, you can't just rock up on the gate sort of thing. And obviously just keep it a bit more small and cool. There's going to be lots of pop-up parties and little pop-up events happening in some really obscure places. I mean, just to put it in perspective, the place I was at yesterday, just looking at an audio hire job, was actually in the sort of back garden of a hotel. It was only a small hotel, but you'd never know it was there. And the event actually sold out, so that was quite refreshing to see. And obviously, you know, the lads that are putting that on are thinking outside the box. So that there are people out there thinking outside the box, and we think if we could do the same, but do that on a bit of a live stream basis, I think that'd be pretty cool. And there's a few places. I mean, people have just got to make sure that the venues they're choosing now are licensed and you know, they're able to do it. But I think what it has shown is that people are going to be more interested in going to a party, don't matter where it is. You know, whereas rewind a year, you know, a lot of people would go to a club because it was that club. You know, it was like, oh yeah, it's Fabric, yeah, we've got to go Fabric, and which is, you know, obviously awesome. But where there's going to be a lot of restrictions on venues at the moment, and some of them aren't going to, you know, make the cut or survive, people are going to be putting on parties all over the place and in some real different spaces and areas, and that's going to be pretty cool to see. And we're going to take a rein on that a little bit and see what we can, you know, put in the pipeline. So yeah,
very cool. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. That's kind of real positive light on positive light at the end of the tunnel. Jay, you've kind of played a couple of these like outdoor gigs now with COVID like restrictions. How's that experience been for you? Do you think it's kind of going to be a good way to go for the future?
I mean, it's been really interesting because obviously, I mean, so I've played at a few venues, well, pretty much the only venues that are open in London.
Yeah.
Some of which I have residencies at, so kind of they're just bringing residencies back, and then other ones like Brixton Jam they're, you know, booking huge artists like Leon Vinehall, Moxie, but for just like obviously just to play a chilled outdoor set. It's been, do you know what, it's been really nice because people are just so pleased to be out. They're just like, oh, friends and other people, and you know, it's really, especially at Brixton Jam, they're really strict. In fact, all of them are really strict. You get like this big long list of terms and conditions, and you have to arrive at a certain time. You're like anti-backing on the way in, anti-backing on the way out. But it kind of works, you know. You've got this QR code on your table, you scan it, you get all your drinks delivered. There's a one-way system. And, you know, people, it's like at Night Tales I played last week, people were all dancing, but just in their booths. So it was like a club, but disconnected, you know, in bubbles. And it was the best thing you could kind of get at that point. The weirdest thing is you're just like, because I've done my fair share of bar gigs, right? And it's just literally getting a bar gig and getting a gig and just pushing them together and then going, this is the biggest thing happening in the UK even right now. Do you know, like, it's such a mind fuck, but it is. I mean, I'm definitely going to keep doing them as long as possible, because it's just nice to play music. It's just what I love doing, you know. And people definitely listen, even though it has to be quite quiet as well, the sound, because you can't, God forbid you encourage people to dance, but it's just really nice, and people do come and they just sit and listen, or, you know, a bit like, you know, in Japan there's these like special cafes that you go to and you're not even allowed to talk, you just have to sit and listen to the album start to finish. Called, like Kiss of Tens or something.
That's so Japan.
It's so Japan. Yeah. So
really cool.
It's good. It feels good. It feels good. It feels like the beginning of a new start.
Yeah.
Listening to all you guys saying about going out and playing and gigs and that, in Wales we're still 5 weeks behind England, so the pubs only opened last week. So we're still not allowed to go out and listen to music or anything like that. So I'm like listening to people like, I need to come to England.
Here you go, Hollie. You can kickstart this bar club collaboration, mash, get it going. That'd be really cool. Just to shout out, anyone, people who are watching, if you've got any questions, pop them in now. Should have said this earlier. Pop it in the chat and we can get them through. I know we've been speaking, we sort of spoke about live streams going to probably be a part of stuff going forward. Is there anything that you'd like to change in particular with the scene and with nightlife returning, gigs, audiences, places, anything at all when it kind of comes back to some sort of normality?
I've seen. You go.
Now, go on, ladies first.
I've seen that one of the things of as it adapting is that everybody's doing abroad parties now. You know, you've got your Amsterdam, Budapest, Barcelona weekenders. That's the way that the British events have gone. Right, we don't know what's happening in Britain, we'll just take it abroad for a bit. Like, they don't make a lot of money for it, but I think they've just got this urge to be playing, that everybody wants a holiday, nobody's had a festival. So that's the way that for especially the early part of 2021, that's the way I see the electronic scene progressing there.
Oh, cool.
I'd like to see a type of reset where a lot of ravers only go to clubs because of a certain name, or maybe, like Jack said earlier, like a certain club name. I'd like to see, you know, people going out now to DJs they've never heard of, you know, like headline DJs that are not really, you know, paid thousands and thousands of bucks, and just going out and enjoying themselves. Because I mean, as a promoter and, you know, throwing parties, sometimes it's hard to get out of the rat race where you feel like you have to pay a lot of money for a headliner to sort of draw a crowd in. And whereas no one's going out and partying now, everyone's just sort of, they'll just go out anywhere and they'll listen to anyone, which is great. Whereas before, people are very selective, like, you know, they only want to go somewhere because, say, Patrick Topping's playing, or, you know, Eats Everything's playing, or just somebody. So I think it'd be nice just to see a bit of a reset where, you know, people just go out to enjoy music again, and maybe a lot of smaller brands like ourselves and smaller DJs start getting a bit more of a stage. Also, it'd be nice to see promoters and, you know, management, you know, not charge such big fees for artists, because they're not earning a lot now, and artists are, you know, starting to feel the wrath a bit. Like, I feel like they should sort of, I think it's a big problem where, you know, you've probably heard it a lot of times, you know, artists, and, you know, they get slapped with big fees, and people just can't afford it. But you feel like you have to pay it because that's the only way to pull people to your party.
It's mad, isn't it, that it was, before all this happened, it was kind of, it was a good thing to break even as a small promoter. And it's like, how is that sustainable in any way? It's like, we broke even with this guest. Like, what?
Well, I mean,
what job, you know?
Look at what's happening. You know, it's not sustainable. Like, something happens and it goes south quickly. Kind of, if I can pick up on that with you, Jay, like, someone's just asked, do you think the nightlife will survive after this, as so many clubs are struggling to reopen and probably never open their doors again? I mean, like, kind of picking up where you said about money and about those margins being so small. Do you think we can return after this, maybe in what you're saying, in a different way?
I don't know how they're gonna, you know, someone told me that they're gonna reopen clubs in November with the capacity. Like, imagine how are you gonna, you know, police that with people coming in? All you need is one person to touch the door handle on a toilet. Everybody's hammered. I don't know where we go from here, unless it's an outdoor event and they can police it that way. I just don't see at the moment, until there's a cure, at least, that we are going to be back inside partying like we used to. Like, not in the next few months, at least. It won't be until next year. So it's just hard for, obviously, those big clubs. Like, there's Lakota in Bristol. They've adapted they've got Courtyard. So they're having like Melvo Baptiste, Crazy P, people like that in the garden, but everybody's on the tables. So that's fair for them. And, you know, they're obviously not going to be making as much as they did. But think about, like, my busiest time of year, freshers. All my freshers gigs have been cancelled. So I don't see, obviously the venues are the same. That's when they probably make their most money. How can they keep up with the rent, you know? So obviously it is that some of our best clubs that have been around for 20, 30 years, they're the sad truth is they are going to be gone by the end of the year. So it's just, how is the nightlife going to adjust to getting back into venues and staying safe as well?
Yeah.
I think it's going to. If I just point, I think it's going to. A lot of people are sitting back. I mean, I'm not a club owner, but I mean, a lot of club owners and party owners are probably looking back now and thinking like they just want to throw parties and have a good time. They don't really care about money. Whereas before there was probably money driven, and everything they wanted to do is to earn money. But where now it's sort of had a reset where people are just like, I just want to throw a party. I don't even want to make no money. I mean, that's the way we are. We just want to throw parties. We don't want to pay. We don't want to sort of, make money. We just want to get people on the dance floor again and just have a good time. Like that's the main goal. And I think hopefully that mentality might cruise forward, and the whole money driven industry that we're in, it might sort of ease off a little bit, and people might sort of just be, more for the people, if that makes sense. And that goes with, like I was saying, with booking agents and managements and stuff like that. But it could go the opposite way, because people haven't been earning money. They might just slap just some huge fees on the next parties because they haven't been earning no money. So I think if that happens, I think it probably will. It will just get even worse because people just won't have the money to pay it.
Yeah.
I know for some of the events that I've been playing, there's been some big names have been booked, but everyone gets the same budget because that's all however many tables they sell, and then once they've paid all the staff and everything, that's the budget. So even if they sold out, the budget is not anything like what those artists would have been paid, and they're still all coming and happily playing and promoting it. And I think ultimately people that are just music heads, however big they were, will probably take a massive pay cut. I mean, they have to.
Yeah, it's been pretty.
I think there's a fine line as well between these club owners wanting to throw the parties and, rookie promoters that are going in and throwing all these illegal raves in the forests and that just because they want to throw a party. I think there's a fine line between, like, obviously taking the piss and safety. People have got this urge to party. Like, look at that weekend where Parklife was cancelled and there were 6,000 people there. They were playing little studio monitors because they didn't realise there was going to be that many people there. So it's just, I think there is the fine line between, clubs doing it properly and actual promoters and people just going, right, let's go and have a rave in the forest.
Yeah. It's kind of been nice to hear you've always sort of picked up on it, that it seems like the spirit of the party and the spirit of the music has kind of seen a massive return. It's going to be interesting. I've got a panel later, Courtney from an agency that is responsible for a lot of Solid Grooves artists. I'm going to be really interested to hear how they've adapted. So that'll be, hopefully we'll get some cool answers about what direction they're moving in. I guess just to wrap it up, you've given a lot of great advice here. What do you think the one bit of advice you could give to any DJ now looking to survive now and sort of thrive going forward?
I think that I would give them the tips of becoming unique. At this time, find your sound. Oh, my fire alarm's going off.
Okay.
It stopped now, brother's cooking. Yeah, I think it's being unique, taking this time now to find your sound, find how you can be different. There's 100,000 DJs in the UK. Everybody needs to be at the top at the moment. Concentrate on yourself, learning new skills, practice with acapellas, creative looping, become a DJ's DJ. That's what you should be doing now. Concentrate now, use this as like a training session, and you're going in for the new season and next year, and you're ready to hit the ground running. So just take time, concentrate on yourself, and you're progressing as an artist.
Cool. Yeah, that's great advice. How about you, Jay?
Yeah, I think that honestly, that's such good advice. Just, you're in it because you love it, right? So just immerse yourself in that and just allow yourself all this time and perfect that. Like if you're a drummer, right, you will spend hours, days, weeks on a roll, particular drum, like crash, fill, whatever. Just enjoy it as well, have fun and stay authentic. I think as long as you're your authentic self. And for me personally, I've started producing. Something that I've literally wanted to do for so long, and I never had time. And now it's like, no, I'm putting this time aside to do it. and you know, just invest, just go all in. What's the point in going like a little bit? And you know,
Go
you'll
big
come
or
out
go home.
literally. I mean, we're all at home, so just
Right.
go big, go home.
Go big. You're already at home. Might as well go big.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richie, have you got any thing you think you could add to that one?
To be fair, I mean, they've covered. I mean, Hollie and Jay covered all points, but just like what they said, and maybe just because I feel like in every industry at the minute now, whether it be, you know, whatever industry you're in work wise, I feel everyone's equal at the minute, because whereas before, where there was parties and people getting booked, you know, you sort of, everyone's sort of at home. No one can gig. No one can do anything. No one can. Everyone's just the same at the minute. We can only all do the same things. None of us are partying.
Yeah.
None of us. Do you know what I mean? So I think the DJs that actually want to be DJs, I feel like this is the time now where they sit back and actually realize if they want to be a DJ, not just because they're seeing a lot of people becoming DJs. Now there's not people DJing, and there's not nights going on, and there's not, you know, all this stuff going on. It's actually people are actually going to sit down and realize, is this actually what I want to do, or am I just following a hype?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
Filtering out the poor.
Yeah, so hopefully, I think any advice, I just think, just sit back, you know, think about it, and if it's something you really, really want to do, then just do what Hollie said and what Jay said, and just practice, and
Amazing.
that's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
I think
Brilliant
it's
advice.
now about networking as well. You know, there's so many other DJs that are at home. If you're ever going to speak to a DJ or make those connections with who you're going to send the track to, now's the time. So just connect with other people, because everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I have to round it off here. But
where's Jack gone? Is he still here?
I think we just lost him. Again, we were talking about this just before we started. It's like Wi-Fi is so difficult. But yeah, big thank you to Jack as well. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Hollie. Thank you, Richie.
Thanks, Luke. You've done an amazing job, honestly.
Smashed it, mate.
I think we're all very proud of you.
Thank you very much. And it's I knew this was going to be kind of a tough one to talk about, because you know it's something that affects us all very personally. And I know it was going to be tough at the start, but you've really gave everyone a lot of really good takeaways, and we finished on a real positive note there. I think a lot of people can take a lot of things away from this, to think that things might not be so bad, and you can adapt and you can overcome. And it's brilliant to hear what you're all doing. You've opened my eyes to a lot of things I could do to improve on myself as well. So thank you so much. Yeah, and good luck and stay safe. And Hollie, I hope you get down to the pub soon. And
yes,
as well.
Hollie,
I'm sorry.
I'll be like, oh.
I'm so sorry. I didn't realise.
Yeah, cheers, all you English saying. Oh,
we're always the problem. That's the difficulty.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much.
Well done.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.